Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I deserve to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. And so I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie. Life kept spitting at my feet and forced me down a dead-end street, when all I had went up in flames, burning only dark remains. I cover up every part of my skin, oh, 'cause I don't like the person within. Oh, I know I'm the one to blame. All I can do is take the shame. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm too sad to say I'm sorry, so lie and pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. Whoa, I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many highs. Too many things to criticize. So I leave it all behind. Don't wanna live a lie. A I don't wanna live a lie. Live a lie. Ooh. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. Oh no. Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can do is play the game. Oh, do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I deserve to say I'm sorry, so lie. Pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't want.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Late night with the 12. Hope everybody's doing okay. This is my second live of the day, so I thought I'd get on here and do the second part of this Trucker That Kill series that I've been doing. Um, it kind of corresponds with a lot of videos that go into my library. Like I always say, if you want certain types of videos done, hit the comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I'll talk about it. I'll dissect it. I'll break it down. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this at the end of the video, at the end of the stream, or hit the dislike button, whichever one you choose, because that gives me insight on what I need to do to get better, because constructive criticism is a good thing. Anyways, here we are on this Thursday night. Let me say hello to the one person that's in chat right now. Hey, Rondi, how you doing? How you doing? If you guys and gals come into the chat in between the beginning and the middle or the end, just please try to be classy in the chat. Please try to understand that we agree to disagree, and we also that everybody's opinion is valid. We try to have some constructive chat going on. Ellen Greenberg. I will try to get on that. Okay. I don't have a clue what that's about, but I will try to get on that. Oh, I just realized my camera's off. Yeah, I don't have the lighting on. Here we go. Let's try this again. All right, that's better. That other look had me creeping out over here, boy. Anyways, truckers that kill. You know, before I get into this, I wanna talk a little bit because you know what, I'm just a talker, and I can't lie to people, and um I can't fake things, and that is an issue with me. Is I can't go through life lying, being dishonest, talking about things that need to be said sometimes. You know, I did a video a little while ago that did a highlight on a lot of things. And if you haven't seen it, it's basically the criminal investigation process. I've done more of these videos in the past. And, it's always awesome to be educated when it comes to discussing anything, much less true crime. And so earlier I did a case, or not even a case, I was talking about criminal investigation and how imperative it is to follow the procedures and how things really work in the criminal justice system, and how law enforcement goes through certain things to get the end result. And true crime is true crime. It doesn't change. It doesn't have variations for much deviation. If you understand what I'm saying. It's like, you know, that when it comes to finding a killer or finding a thief or finding somebody who committed arson or rape or anything like that, all the steps are the same. It doesn't change. Law enforcement does not pick and choose bits and pieces of evidence to either include in the apprehension of an individual or all the way to the conclusion of the individual being guilty. And try to remember that whenever you're watching true crime. If you get fixated on one area of the case, and I understand why it appears that way sometimes, content is needed, right? Content is content. Content sells. Well, this trial is going to show that not all content is real. Not all content is used in a court. Not at all used in trials. But it's definitely used in apprehension. So let's get on with this, with that little bit of tidbit that I just gave you. Victimology. I'll get back to your question here in a second. I'm going to present this for educational purposes. Going to do commentary to show my thoughts on this video. It is used for fair use, under fair use, and it is used to discuss certain situations that collaborate with the true crime community. So let's roll. Let's roll with this. See where it goes.
Breaking at this hour, TBI agents are at the Alabama home of a truck driver accused in a kidnapping. The bloody underwear of several women were found inside that driver's truck.
Roy Nelsh, to me, really embodies evil. I mean, this to me was a pure embodiment of evil.
There is, to this date, only one woman who police know was able to escape Nelsh.
I was to the point where I felt desperate.
I'll get you out of this truck. That's what you got.
I already know I'm probably going to die, so I'm not going to go down without a fight.
Jeremy, it's important to note, no one outside of police has ever seen what you have uncovered.
The story, when you read it or hear about it, sounds like a movie.
So you may think you're the only survivor.
I do. I believe that I am.
To be honest with you, my initial thought was, I thought he was a serial killer.
I've seen this before, and this is an interesting case because this individual had the manipulative tactics, and you will see during the interviews and things of that nature, the interrogation of his tactic that he tried to use to get out of accountability for obviously the crime that he's committed.
My car battery went dead, my phone was dead, everything was dead. And it's just like tons of traffic, you know, and you're just sitting there like a sitting duck. I ended up running out of gas at like exit 86, right past exit 86.
Were you feeling desperate?
Yeah, it was hot. It was May 22nd. It was really hot outside.
Here you are, you have no money, stranded on the side of the interstate, and this truck pulls up behind you. Do you remember what you thought when you first pulled up?
Yeah, I thought, well, this looks like a friendly neighbor I might borrow a lawnmower from. He just kind of yelled from his truck, "Do you need help?" And I said, yeah. He says, well, come on, get in, and I'll give you a ride to the next exit, get you some gas, and bring you back. I taught my kids the same, like never talk to strangers, and I know better and all that. But again, you know, I didn't feel like I had any options at that point. I said,
and you know, that is a bad situation to be in. Whenever you run out of gas, or you have a flat tire, or you have engine problems, and you're in the middle of all this area, like if she's talking about Alabama, like all through the southern states, especially I-10 or I-12, there's nothing but trees all around you. And, you know, the nearest gas station is forever away. So if you have any kind of problems, you're pretty much stuck, and you're at the mercy of whoever stops. Yeah. Yeah, that's a horrible situation to be in. And, you know, oftentimes, you know, you're at the mercy of whoever stops, even though she said I always tell my kids not to talk to strangers, not to do this, not to do that. What she ended up doing and going against what she had taught her children.
Sure, thank you. Yes, did not think that he was going to do what he did. I got into the truck.
So at that point, you did not think he was a danger at all?
No.
How would you describe what he was like when you first met him?
Very awkward, very, very awkward. I got in the truck and he was driving and he asked me if I want to go on his route. And I said, oh, I can't do that. I said that I have small kids here that I need to be here for, you know, and I felt like it was already an awkward question because he don't even know me. And, you know, I was like, okay, Abby, just get through this, go get gas, go back to your car, and it's done. He said, well, maybe I'll just have to kidnap you. And I thought, wow, what a awkward joke to make.
So, Rondi, you're the only female in the chat that I can see. What would you have done at that point? Would you have opened the door and thrown yourself out? Because the truck is rolling and this guy starts to be creepy. Isn't that interesting how a lot of times these individuals that end up being, I'm going to put these on for a minute because my eyes are burning a little bit. These individuals that end up being killers, they'll have that awkwardness, that inability to really socialize with other people, and they come across as quote unquote creepy. So I'm just asking, what would you have done? Any of you?
I know that you were watching for your exit.
I said, why aren't you getting in the right lane? And he said, nobody will let me over. And I was just like, no, that's not true, because I'm looking out the passenger side mirror and there's nobody on the interstate, barely anybody. And then it was silent, awkward silence. And then finally I said, thank you for your time. I don't need your help anymore. I appreciate it. Please pull over and let me out. He's pulling over and I think he's letting me out. So I grab my purse, I look up at him, and I'm thinking I'm about to say thank you. And he has a gun pointed at me. He said, this is a kidnapping. I'm going to rape you. Get in the back of the truck. He was very laid back and like he'd done it before. I begged and pleaded with him at first. I said, please don't do this. I said, I've got little kids who need me. So I thought, I need to comply. So I did what he said. I went to the back of the truck. But then when I got to the back of the truck, things in my head changed. I was like, no, I'm not going down without a fight.
Troy, my name's Dennis. I'm one of the detectives here.
While it was happening, I was already working. He was taken into custody. He was brought back to our office. Well, I spent some time with Ms. Pimentel first and got her version of events. I did sit down that afternoon or early that evening with Mr. Nelsh.
Homeboy's fat breathing. He's fat breathing, bro. Like, he is in cuffs and he is fat breathing. And that is not a slam against anybody, but that's what I usually call that whenever you're just sucking wind that hard, you're fat breathing. So he said, this is a kidnapping. I'm going to rape you. Get in the back of the truck. So nonchalantly, not even really thinking about, is she really going to do this? Because I got a gun pointed at her. Yeah, why is he out of breath in the police station? I think it's because he has his hands put behind his back and it's putting pressure on his diaphragm. So, yeah. But he's like not even fearing that he could get caught at that point.
Your name is Roy, correct? I'm sorry? Your name is Roy, sir? Roy, yeah. I know there's a lot going on. Oh, yeah. How serious is it? Well, and that's what I don't know. If you're willing to tell me what happened, I'm all ears. She looked like she was, desperate, needing help. I'll take you to get some gas. She said, pull over. Well, there's nothing here. She gets back and said, I want to make a deal for you for some gas money. She said, give me your money. What? She give me your money, I'm going to tell you to rape me. She said, give me your wallet or give me your money.
Mr. Nellis gave me a story that mirrored all the facts of Mr. Mental's. Different reason for him.
He tried to make up some story about how he was citizen arresting me because I was trying to rob him.
The question is, who's telling the truth?
The plot thickens, doesn't it? All of a sudden, he starts lying on her, saying that she needs some gas money and she's trying to make a deal with him. What? What? Wow. I don't know about you, but that just kind of crazy. And he's like, the way he responds, he reminds me of somebody I used to know. And I could always tell that they were lying because they repeat everything you say with, oh, shucks, there's no way I could have done that. And I always knew this person was lying.
She was showing some. Okay. She said, you give me your money, I'm going to tell them to rape me. She said, you're crazy, get out of my truck. She come on around. He started hitting me and beating me.
He jumped on me and we're wrestling for this gun.
She reached and grabbed my gun, and then I was in a panic.
He's on top of me and I have the gun pointed at his face now. I'm on the bottom, he's on the top.
Trying to twist the gun out of her hand. I didn't want her to shoot her, didn't want her to shoot me.
And I have the gun pointed at his face.
I want you to stop. My God.
And I pulled the trigger and nothing happened.
I can only imagine what you were thinking at this point.
It was the worst feeling ever when you pull the trigger and nothing happens. Just thought, that was my one and only chance and it's gone.
So when you pull the trigger, nothing happens. What does he do?
He pulls a bigger gun out from somewhere.
And I reached under and got 40 and hit her in the head with it.
He just bashed me over the head with it really hard. And I mean, I remember feeling warm liquid pouring down my face, and I didn't know at first what it was, but it was blood.
Finally got her stopped and handcuffed.
He put my hands behind my back and put handcuffs on me, and at that point, I remember thinking, "Okay, Abby."
Okay, let's look at this a little bit. All right, if you're a police officer listening to this story, and you hear that. First of all, they start wrestling for a gun. Where did the gun come out at? She takes the gun, pulls the trigger. There's nothing that happens. He pulls another gun out that's even bigger, hits her in the head with it. She starts bleeding. And then he pulls out some handcuffs and handcuffs her. How many people have these type of, I would say, weapons in their cab just out of the blue? I don't know how many people own handcuffs, but how many of you have them just out of the blue?
Just comply with what he says, or pretend you're complying at least for right now, because he's going to get complacent at some point, and that's when you're going to make your move.
Started cleaning up some. I'm sorry, I hit you. Don't beat on me.
He lifted my dress up, my hands were handcuffed behind my back. He said, "Do I need to gag you, or are you going to be quiet?" And I said, "I'll be quiet." First, he put a blanket over me, and I don't know why.
He got back in the driver's seat and started driving. Did he say anything about where you were going?
While he was wiping the blood away from my face, I asked him 3 questions. I said, "Are you going to kill me?" He said, "No, I'm just going to rape you." I said, "How long are you going to keep me for?" He said, "A few days." I said, are you taking me somewhere scary? And that's the only thing that I could think of to ask, because I kept thinking of those scary movies going through my head, and he's going to have me in some cage and with all these knives or something and torturing me or something. Like, I kept thinking that way. And he said, no, you're going to stay in the truck with me. I'm just taking you somewhere isolated. I'm thinking.
Did you see that road? It was just on both sides. On both sides. So obviously he knows that he can't do what he wants to do right there because there's nothing there other than a little median between the road and the ditch and the trees. So he knows that he needs to take her somewhere isolated to do what he wants to do with her. So that must be a scary situation to be in, to be handcuffed and not knowing how to get out of that situation.
About the fact that my life is probably going to be over here soon. And then I would think about my kids, and like every time I would think about my kids' names would go through my head, and I'd just get this adrenaline, like this crazy amount of adrenaline go through my body, and I'd be like thinking, you don't have the right to take away their mommy. First, I had to get my hand out of this handcuff. Honestly, I didn't care if I ripped my whole arm off. I was not going with that guy. I was not going to be raped by him. There's no way.
So how did you do it? How'd you get your hand out?
I ripped it out as hard as I could, as hard as I possibly could. And it hurt, but I didn't care. I take the blanket that he covered me up with, and I stood up really tall, and I felt like a monster. I was just like, I felt savage, like an animal. I just took the blanket and I lunged toward him as fast as I could, and I threw the blanket over his head, and I put my arm around his neck, and I squeezed my muscles around his neck.
She's all over me, beating on me, kicking me.
I grabbed the steering wheel with the other hand, and I started swerving, like trying to tip the truck over.
Where were you driving at that point?
Yes.
You put the blanket in?
Yes.
You're trying to drive and hold him back at the same time.
Not really trying to drive. I'm trying to tip over the semi. But I was absolutely a crazy, savage animal, like fighting for my life. He ended up saying, okay.
Calm down. Let me get my one handcuff off you, and I'll get you out of this truck. That's what you got.
He stopped the truck and put his foot on the brake, and I said, you're going to let me out right now. And he managed to get that handcuff off. I don't know how he got the blanket off his head. I don't remember that part. Like, everything happened so fast. I remember I jumped out of the semi. I had one shoe on, one shoe off, the other shoe's up in the semi, half a dress on because he ripped it.
He said something to you as you were leaving. What did he say?
He said, I never expected you to fight that much. I've never had anyone fight this much before. I was like, whoa. He's done this before. Like, wow. I thought, who am I dealing with here?
I got the one handcuff off her and just pushed her out the truck. She's going running back down the road. Well, I know what's going to happen now. She's got blood on her face. She's running down the road. I've got problems now.
Yes, you do, sir. Yes, you do. I mean, I'm glad she fought that hard. I mean, it's not easy for anybody to get out of a situation like that, much less being a sleeper of a truck, trying to get out of a handcuff, getting out of a truck while it's moving. She was a fighter.
I ran to the back of the truck and made sure I looked at it. I got 3 letters off of the back of the truck. He just drives away, and I'm sitting there like, help me, like trying to get somebody to stop. And the guy does pull over finally, calls 911 and gives me his phone, and I tell the police what happened. They have an ambulance come, and I told them this is the description of the truck. That's all I can tell you.
Then, of course, came out the news about what else was in the cab.
It was shocking, to find out what was there.
10-4, still heading towards Springfield. he is possibly armed. I just haven't tried to stop him yet. I just wanted more backup units. Hey, man. Hey, keep your hands up for me. All right, turn around. Turn around. Right now, you're just being detained. That girl's crazy. Yeah, apparently she's crazy enough to get you in some trouble. Yeah, she got me in some serious trouble.
Live with breaking news.
We are uncovering more information by the minute about a truck driver charged with kidnapping.
Tonight, what he did when he was arrested led a local police chief to suspect more trouble was ahead.
He actually came out of the truck with his hands up already in the air, so I really wasn't nervous or scared because I think he already knew what was going on because he got out of the truck with his hands up.
You're one of the few people that actually spoke with him. One of the few people that got to ask him questions on the record.
Have you ever been arrested for anything before? No, that's the first time I ever had a set of handcuffs. Understood.
He came across very almost humbled, respectful.
God, I ain't never hit a woman before.
It became actually more alarming to me that he was that calm, that comfortable, and always had the right answers.
She looked like she was, desperate, needing help.
He seemed very well rehearsed.
God, I just tried to help somebody out, and quite honestly, yeah, if I could have got it up, I would have.
I started changing my perception of him.
Wow.
The real cake topper to me,
Get her some dude.
he was the fact that he was going to.
Did he really say what I think he said? So there's no way he could have done anything because he couldn't perform. So therefore, he really wasn't going to do anything with her. That's interesting. That's interesting. This guy is a piece of work.
Drive around and
Get her medical help out there because she was bleeding.
until he found an officer.
Get the cops out there.
That's not a normal thing to do. It became actually more alarming to me that he was that calm, that comfortable, and always had the right answers.
I just got to ask, why do you carry handcuffs? Why do I carry handcuffs? In a lot of the states I go to, my pistol permit is no good in. If somebody comes up, I've got that one chance to hit them with the face with them and handcuff cut the hell out of you.
It started dawning on me that a lot of this was already there in his head, the answers.
Why didn't you call the police? I mean, after she's out the car. Because I knew exactly where it was going to go. Why not just pick up the cell phone and call 911 and say, hey, listen, this just went down? I should have. Once she got out, I knew where it was going to go. She's got blood on her face. She's running down the road. I've got problems now. I'm going to ask you if you would give us consent to go through your vehicle. You can say no. You have every right to say no. But you're going to do it anyway. Well, no. What we'll do is we'll apply for a search warrant. Yeah, you'll get it. I got nothing to hide in there.
At this point, everything inside of me, especially based on what we've already seen and some of the statements he's made, has told me that this is by.
Some of these situations, and it's interesting to watch interrogations. It really is, because it gives you an inside look on the person. You wonder, what is their belief about picking up a woman and being able to want to just do that to her? Was he really a killer, or was he an opportunist? Did he use his living as a way to feed his desire? Because he made a statement. It's not like I could even perform if I was to do that. You know what I mean? So that tells you, okay, what was the payoff then? Why instantly ask her if she wants to go on the road with you, and then ask her, tell her that this is a kidnapping, I'm going to rape you. Why would you do all that if there wasn't going to be a payoff? Were you going to kill her? Was that the payoff?
By no means his first time, and probably worse.
How often would you say you picked up girls before? I don't know, maybe once every 2-3 months. If they're broke down, I'll stop and give them a hand. I don't screw around with truck stop girls because they got things that they ain't even discovered yet. This ain't my first rodeo with girls out there trying to make a little money.
It was strange when you're sitting with a man like this to watch it unfold in front of your very eyes, to see what quite frankly, what a monster is coming out. You had said something to her that you've never had anybody fight you like this before. Does that sound familiar, or was there a variant to that? Okay.
I don't fight women. I don't hit women. I'm scared to death.
Don't be. We're going to get the truth. One way or another, we will get the truth. I promise you that. And this isn't something I do all the time, probably not more every couple of months, but I've got a friend works over at the Cedar Service Building, and he runs a polygraph. It's a lie detector for layman's terms. Is that something you'd be willing to do if I had Jeremy come down here tonight? You're not interested in polygraph for no one. I think you're dealing with a man that's been doing it for so many years. He's got I hate to say Jekyll and Hyde, but almost a switch that can turn on this charisma and then turn it right back off when he's ready.
Exactly. Just like what he just did. He said, I'm not taking a polygraph for no one. Then he just went from the nice person to cooperative witness to the I'm not doing nothing for nobody. You got me messed up. Hi, love Tina. How you doing? Welcome to the chat. You know, this guy is obviously has been getting away with what he's been doing for a long time.
I just wonder if you'd be okay with me taking a quick DNA swab.
It's her blood in the truck. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I know, but I need to be sure.
I'm sure about. Yes.
That's good?
Yes. Well, you'll find my fingerprints in your system, no doubt.
Oh, no, I'm not worried about that. I'm just using it as an example.
But now you got my DNA. First one.
By that point, we had all the evidence from the vehicle. There was a lot more to this, and based on what I kind of took from him from the interview and the items we found in that vehicle, I'll be honest with you, my initial thought was, I thought he was a serial killer. There's been a lot of things in your truck that have been collected that are very, very discomforting.
Questionable.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but I just wanted to let you know that we are collecting that for the time being, okay?
I don't know. When I gave permission to search the truck, I gave permission to get that, didn't I?
The bloody underwear of several women were found inside that driver's truck.
So there's a bag of brassieres, underwear, guns, and all that other stuff in the truck that they found, or that officer found. So if you were a police officer and you got consent to make a culpable case against this individual, what would you think in your mind at this point that you find this stuff, and you don't want to be one of those that instantly hop to conclusions, okay? Because that's what the public does. You know, they teach you to be objective, to be subjective to what you find, and not necessarily find evidence to try to make somebody guilty or innocent, but just to gather the evidence. So you're looking through the truck and you find this stuff. Do anybody know what they would be thinking as a police officer seeing this? Because it might shock you what it's about to say.
Some of the, tools that were in that vehicle were barbaric in nature. These are things that, to me, suggest a torture mindset. I really think this is not your first time with something like this. And I'm wondering, is there going to be any other cases that are going to come back on that?
No, not that I know of.
There's a real problem with your version of events.
I can understand it. I can understand it.
It doesn't make sense.
I can understand that.
It doesn't make sense. It's potentially serious charge.
It's been very serious trouble.
I think All the
Wow.
things that have been collected, the evidence that's being put together is fairly strong. I don't think you're being completely truthful.
I could understand why you would say that because I've been running back through my mind over and over and over. And I see 1,000 mistakes I made, but I can't change a damn one of them.
The biggest problem in that version was handcuffs.
Yeah, probably are. They probably are.
Nobody handcuffs somebody they're trying to get rid of. You handcuff to keep somebody. My thought has been that, yeah, there probably are victims out there.
That's a good statement right there. What he just said. You don't handcuff somebody you're trying to get rid of. You handcuff somebody you're trying to keep. That is a great statement right there. And I think Roy realized that he had messed up. I think that right now, him sitting in that chair, he hadn't even put the other boot on. Like, I would have put my boot on. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't have been sitting there with one boot on, one boot off. Or why he even took the boot off. Who knows? But Roy realizes he messed up.
If I was sitting in your shoes, I would be saying the same thing. I think I probably need to get a lawyer.
Invoke your Fifth Amendment.
Yeah. It's looking bad in my mind. I know it's looking bad in your mind.
Roy Nelsh, to me, really embodies evil. I mean, this to me was a pure embodiment of evil.
And breaking news at this hour, the U.S. Attorney of Middle Tennessee telling News 4 investigates that a multi-state investigation is underway to find out if a truck driver has victims throughout the Mid-South.
It comes as that truck driver, Roy Nelsh, appears before a federal judge tonight on new charges. Let's go live to Chief Investigator Jeremy Finley at the federal courthouse. Jeremy, they're calling this man a danger to society.
That's right, Tracy. The U.S. Attorney from Middle Tennessee tells me what they found inside the cab of his truck is the reason they hauled him here today to federal court from Clarksville. In order.
Truck driver had child porn, bag of underwear, and ledger with names in the cab. So you find all this stuff, and you don't automatically want to say he's guilty. You're just gathering evidence. Gathering evidence. If people were around when this case was being discussed, I bet a lot of people would be saying that he was innocent. They would be believing his story about the handcuffs being for protection and the gun being for protection and the knives and, all the bloody underwear and the rope and, pretty much a kill kit. But that's the difference between law enforcement and civilian minds. Law enforcement minds tend to leave the emotional part out of it. You don't sit around going, well, I can understand what you're talking about, Roy. I myself have had fetishes like that myself, and I could get where you're coming from. No. Your whole job is to gather the evidence, to put it together, and present it in a probable cause for an arrest. That's it.
Order to charge him with multiple crimes, and he says to make sure that he no longer drives the interstates of the Mid-South. Also, prosecutors revealed new findings tonight, saying Nelsh kept weapons, more than 10,000 images of child pornography, and a ledger with the names of women and children inside the cab of his truck.
To be honest, that was the piece of evidence that chilled me the most.
Do we know if any of those people are missing people?
I can say that it's something that the TBI continues to investigate. I think that the evidence suggests that there were other victims. I've tried sex abuse cases. I've tried child pornography cases. Some of the most disturbing evidence I've ever seen. The story.
Let me ask you guys a question, okay? We have the the sex trafficking, and we have the multiple children going missing on a daily basis. Is it fair to have an assumption that maybe there are some truckers snatching these children up, snatching women up? Because it's in and out. You get what I'm saying? It's like you could be at a truck stop, see a kid, walk them out to your truck, and be gone without anybody being the wiser. You know, I was watching one where this trucker was going down the road, and this girl and her boyfriend were hitching a ride because they were running away. This trucker picked them up. He ended up driving them to the Midwest, where he took the boy out, handcuffed the girl, killed the boy, came back, and did unthinkable things with the young adult, and then killed her. Evil. It might even be this guy. I don't remember. But
When you read it or hear about it, sounds like a movie. Her fight to live, the will that must have come from so deep inside of her. I knew that she was just completely on adrenaline in that moment, and that something inside her just made her fight to live.
The boat rope with blood on it, that was, like, what on earth was he going to do to me? That's another question that constantly goes through my head. You know, how was I going to die that day?
Do you sometimes think about who else has been in that cab with him?
Absolutely, all the time. And I wonder, and I like, it's just, there's not a day that goes by I don't wonder or think about that.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from
Roy. Hello?
Hello. I love you, and
I love
the
you
girls
too.
love you.
I love you too.
Obviously, I've heard those same calls that he made to his loved ones.
This is your home, and I'm still your wife, and we're still your family, and it's just a stated fact.
Hoping you kind of stick with me through this and wherever it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go, really. I'm planning for the worst.
Yeah.
If it goes as bad as I think it is, then, whatever you want to do, because I will not be coming back anytime in the future.
It certainly did sound like, yes, he knew he was never going home.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, I know they're recording this.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, who in the hell were you supposed to have kidnapped?
Well, I can't really talk about it right now. I know you're a good friend, but you don't really get too involved in this because it's not good. I don't want to drag you into it.
A hitchhiker picking up?
It's actually a short story that everything got turned around on, but it's not going to go well for me. I know that.
They're calling this heinous. That's what the investigators are calling.
I don't know what heinous is.
Wicked and evil.
Oh.
I can say what you done, very wicked and evil to whoever.
I have no idea. So I get very little information.
That really don't sound like you at all.
They're blowing a plumb way out of proportion. Way out of proportion. But I figured they would.
So let me ask a question to you guys. I guess you got your answer. He is married and he has children, obviously. It's interesting to me that individuals that get found with child pornography usually do have children of their own within that age range of the child pornography that they're looking at. And that being very general because, progression in any type of fetish or addictive mindset, it does go in multiple arenas. And I'm not excusing his behavior or thinking that I believe, but it does escalate. So did he start off with child porn You just never know. Did it escalate to the point where it became the other was not good enough, so he escalated to that point? Very possibly. It doesn't excuse it, but there was a lot on his phone. I don't understand it. I don't understand they have small children at home or they have children that age at home and they're still out there doing that.
Hi, Melissa. It's Jeremy. How are you?
I'm fine.
I want to make it very clear that now this is on the record. The first question I wanted to ask you, how it is you even came to know Roy Nelsh?
I got out of truck driving for a while, and when I came back, I had to go out with the trainer when I got hired on with the company, and Roy was my trainer.
You rode with him for quite some time, right?
The training program was 4 to 6 weeks, so I stayed with him on the truck for at least 4 weeks.
Would you describe him as a friend?
Yes, he was a very close and dear friend. Roy, he liked chasing women, but he was faithful to taking care of his family, making sure everything at home was taken care of.
I've listened to your conversations that you had with him. You've made it very clear to him that you know what prosecutors and police have said. Were you trying to get answers as well? Did you have your doubts?
I definitely had my doubts about what they were accusing Roy of, what the woman was accusing Roy of. And they was basing that off of her statement and an affidavit.
So you believed him?
Roy never told me the full story because he was advised by his lawyer not to discuss any part of that case with anyone because it can be used against him.
So what do you think about the question that there may be other victims out there?
I don't believe that.
Why don't you?
What do y'all think at this point? Do you believe that he is guilty or he is innocent? Based on what you've heard, what you've seen, because anybody can come across as being innocent, but you have to ask yourself, the facts don't lie. The evidence does not lie. You can't just go on somebody's presentation like he just looks like a grandpa, like, an older gentleman that, like she just said, is driving a truck to care for his family and everything. And I tell you, a lot of people would be up in arms if this case was a high profile case today. They'd be up in arms about it because they would want to say that he was innocent and that female was lying, that she just framed him. I just want to know, if that's the stance you would take, what would bring you to that conclusion? And thank you, Carl. I think it is as well, because I don't think a lot of people really take into account how quickly this stuff gets out of hand. Okay, Rondi.
You believe that?
I never even seen Roy ever lose his temper. I've seen him get mad, but I've seen him stop and stop himself from going any further.
So you never saw him get angry? You never saw him do anything violent?
No, never.
There were a lot of things found in the cab of that truck that were really disturbing, from women's underwear with blood on it, to a bloody rope, to a knife.
I got rope, knife, duct tape, and all kinds of damn zip ties and on my truck. That's part of the equipment I need on my truck.
Do you think that's what those was equipment?
That's what I know it was, is equipment, because I've been in Roy's truck.
Do you feel like that you actually knew him? Or do you think he could have been living a double life?
Look, I knew that there was times that Roy would stop and pick women up. He admitted that to me. But as far as Roy being the type that tried to force himself on women, being on the truck with him, no, he never tried any of that with me.
Did he intend to go to trial? Did he want to go to trial?
Yes, he intended to go to trial. His leukemia had progressed. They had diagnosed it at the detention center. He didn't want any treatment. He didn't want to go through any treatment with
It's interesting to me that, you know, kind of like the Delphi case when you saw um, the Allen guy, Richard Allen, when you saw him go into the courtroom at the very beginning, he was a bigger guy. And then throughout the time, he got smaller and smaller. The same with this guy. He was a big guy when he went into being arrested, and now look how small he is walking into the courtroom. What happened to a man in there? Like the stress of it, not wanting to eat, things of that nature. I mean, it's interesting to me. Yeah, she said that there's no way that that could have been Roy. Those things he had were for the road. So you're telling me you need a pair of handcuffs for the road?
the leukemia.
Did he keep this evidence? Did he keep these women's clothing as trophies?
Unfortunately, we'll never know.
The long-haul trucker accused of kidnapping a woman and keeping a bloody bag filled with women's underwear in the cab of his truck has died.
When you found out that he had died, what was your first thought?
I reached out to Abby. I wanted to make sure, but she already knew.
I was upset. I didn't want him to die yet. I really didn't. I wanted to do the trial first, and I wanted him to be exposed. I wanted him to have to face the world for what he's done. I wanted to know more about what he's done.
He is the key to what I believe is going to be a lot of unsolved cases, a lot of mysteries, possibly a lot of victims out there. So I feel that his passing may leave a lot of questions unanswered.
Tonight, what News 4 Investigates has uncovered is perhaps the most troubling secret about a long-haul truck driver suspected of being a serial killer of women. Now, we want to warn you, the details are extremely graphic. Chief Investigative Reporter Jeremy Finley then traveled to Cullman, Alabama to track down those who knew about him and the secrets he kept.
Behind bars, Roy Nelsh's only communication was by phone. Calls to a woman who knew one of Nelsh's most troubling secrets.
What? So Roy had a wife and kids and a girlfriend. Man, what a pimp. I can't even get a girlfriend, but Roy had a wife and a girlfriend? What the hell? Roy's a pimp. Wow.
I was in a lonely state. I had left an abusive relationship, and I was just looking for just to feel something.
I love you. You know that, don't you?
Yeah,
Do you really know that?
I actually do.
What enticed you at all to even begin a relationship with this guy?
Companionship, I guess. I was just really lonely, and he was nice.
I wonder if you can talk about how you met him.
I met him through a Craigslist ad. I was just looking for some kind of companionship, and he had placed an ad. It was just something that when I read the ad that he had placed, I'm not quite sure why I answered it. I just thought, yeah, this sounds exciting, honestly. His ad was for a rape fantasy.
He was open from the very beginning. He was looking for some kind of rape fantasy.
He was. We spoke on the phone, we spoke through text, and we set up going through with that fantasy that he had spoke about in the ad. I have never done anything like this before. He came in with a mask on. He came in with a knife. He cut my shirt off with the knife, and he got me tied up really easily, actually. I was surprised at how fast I was on the floor, and he had my hands tied up. I immediately thought to myself, this is stupid, and I started trying to get the ropes off. I did manage to get one of the ropes off, but he saw me doing that and he tightened it. And that's when I kind of freaked out a little bit, and the fantasy stopped there because I told him I do not like being tied up, I don't like this, and he untied me.
You didn't have to fight him.
Did not.
Were you ever scared?
With the ropes on, I was, but immediately when he took them off when I asked him to, I wasn't afraid. So I thought that I was going to enjoy this. I said, it's more real right now, and I'm not liking this. He brought in a bag with him, and I later found out, it wasn't that night, but I later found out what he had in the bag. The things that he had in the bag were really quite disturbing. He never used them on me. I had no idea when I said I was up for anything what he actually had in mind.
I think you told me that he called it something.
His bag of tricks.
Can you tell me what was in it?
Yeah, the thing that really got to me, that I was shocked over, was he had a thing full of pins, and he had a stun gun, and he said women would allow him to put the pins through their skin, whether it was on their chest, wherever, so that he would have these long pins. He would put them through their skin, and he would use the stun gun on the pins, I guess to intensify the stun.
Do you remember what you thought when you saw that?
I thought that I was a complete idiot for even agreeing to do anything.
Are y'all hearing this? Are y'all hearing this? Roy, my man. Whoa. He would put these pins in people, and they use a stun gun on them. Supposedly. That's what this. I think it's a woman. She had a deep voice through that voice changer, but I think it's a woman.
Thing like this.
Do you remember what else was in the bag?
He had like a tire iron. I know he had some adult toys. He had rope. He had handcuffs.
We discussed handcuffs. You said those are for use as a weapon.
Yeah.
Your handcuffs, you have a key available because clearly you intend to put them on somebody at some point or potentially could.
Well, I had a girlfriend.
Understood.
That thing's fixing to go to hell, too.
He wasn't talking about me. We never used handcuffs.
That was not you.
That was not me.
Were warning bells going off in your head?
No.
He had made you feel pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm. We got to the point of the pins and the stun gun. He was talking about different women that he had picked up and that actually enjoyed doing that. I had gone into his truck probably 2 different times, and he had his bag of tricks in there. He had women's bras hanging from one of the beds in there. And I asked him about his wife and what she thought about that, and he said that his wife doesn't ever go in the truck. She's not allowed to.
Was there ever a time you thought, this guy is dangerous, this guy's bad news?
Not until after he was arrested.
How did you find out?
He was supposed to come over, and it had been a couple days. I was trying to call him, and he wasn't answering. And I said, let me Google his name. So I Googled him just thinking, I was thinking truck accident. And I Googled his name, and it came up that he had been arrested, and I read the story about what had happened.
What'd you think?
I thought, not that it wasn't surprising, it was surprising, but I pretty much immediately thought, yeah, this is something that he could do.
So you weren't really that surprised, it sounds like.
I wasn't really surprised when I read what he had done, just because of how our relationship started. I knew what he was into.
And he had talked about picking up girls.
Yes.
Do you think he was lying to you the whole time?
I do. I really didn't think about it too much until you contacted me. I do think he was lying. Definitely, I think he was lying.
Do you worry that there are other women out there?
I do. That is the only reason why I'm doing this. I feel like just a complete fool, and it's super embarrassing for me. I'm shocked at my behavior, is looking back on it. And after going through therapy, I'm shocked at my behavior.
When did you decide, we're done, I'm closing the store?
My best recollection is After I heard what they found in his truck, I was mortified because children were involved.
It's impossible to get past.
Mhm.
You can't get past that.
Mhm.
Then TBI agents reached out to you.
Well, I reached out to them first. There was some kind of hotline number, if you know anything about this man, to go ahead and call. And I just figured I'm going to go ahead and call and just kind of let them know what I know of him. I didn't want them to think that I was hiding.
Did they have serious suspicion that there were other victims?
Yes.
What were you going through after this happened?
Well, I felt obviously horrible for the victim, horrible for his wife and his family. It was just a lot of shame and therapy.
I wonder at the end of the day, do you feel like he was leading a double life?
I definitely do. I definitely do.
That makes you wonder so much about people in general. I'm about to pull up the affidavit and go over that with you guys if you're still with me. Or the indictment, actually. And we'll go over that. Let me see if I can make it a little bigger. Okay, it says State of United States of America versus Roy Michael Nelsh. Indictment, count 1, kidnapping. The grand jury charges on about May 22nd, 2019, in the Middle District of Tennessee and elsewhere. The defendant, Roy Michael Nelsh, did unlawfully and willingly seize, confine, inveigle, decoy, kidnap, abduct, carry away, and hold for purposes of personal gratification, including sexual and physical assault. And in committing the furthermore this commission of offense is willingly transport AP in interstate commerce from Kentucky to Tennessee and traveled in interstate commerce from Kentucky to Tennessee. Count 2, transportation of child pornography. It says the grand jury further charges on or about May 22nd, 2019 in the Middle District of Tennessee. Roy Michael Nelsh knowingly transported and shipped child pornography. It defined Title 18. Where did it go? Okay, there we are. Come on. Good grief. Y'all suck. I guess we have to wait till that counts down to 0. I don't know. But anyways, he was transporting pornography, child porn. So, that tells you a lot about this gentleman. Like, his girlfriend and his wife believed in this man, and this is what he did. It says count 3. He transported child pornography that involved minors under the age of 12 using any means and facility of interstate commerce. Count 3, possession of child pornography on or about May 22nd, 2019, the Middle District of Tennessee. Roy Nelsh knowingly possessed images and videos of child pornography as defined in the Title 18 United States Code that involved minors under the age of 12, which images have been mailed, shipped, and transported using any means and facility of interstate and foreign commerce. The allegations contained in this indictment are realleged and incorporated by the reference as it fully set forth in support of his forfeiture. Upon conviction of one or more of these offenses alleged in count 2 and 3 of this indictment, Roy Nelsh shall forfeit to the United States pursuant any property, real or personal, constituting or traceable to gross profits of other proceeds obtained for such offenses. So, if he had anything to do with, like, let's say he was trafficking this child porn to other people, then anything that he gained from that, he would turn it over. Said the electronic device seized from the person or from 2018 Peterbilt semi truck bearing Tennessee license plate, and then it gives a license plate, VIN number, including but not limited to the following: Kodak digital camera, SanDisk, Optima SD card, cell phone, AT&T SIM card, Samsung model, another cell phone it looks like, SanDisk model, AT&T model, SIM card, Toshiba laptop computer, so he had two, SanDisk Cruiser, SanDisk Cruiser, SanDisk Cruiser, SanDisk Cruiser, and that's probably where all the porn was located. Toshiba external hard drive, So he had a lot of stuff seized from him. And I guess it had a lot of that stuff that he was being indicted for. And that's all of that. So, Mr. Nelsh, I think he was probably taking pictures of, he could have been taking pictures of kids, like, on his route. I don't know. He could have kidnapped some kids. Who knows? It's just terrible. It's terrible to think that this individual did so much while he was here. He was 63 years old, it said, when he was indicted. That's why it's essential to look out for your children, for your loved ones, and make sure that you have an understanding of what certain things mean. So if you say don't talk to strangers, that means you yourself do not talk to strangers. I mean, I understand, like, what we started at the very beginning. We're talking about, how she ran out of gas to one victim that escaped, and how she ran out of gas and needed his help. That's a catch-22. I mean, I'm not the moral compass of YouTube, so, what you need to do is what you need to do, what's good for you, I just believe that you need to be hyper-vigilant when it comes to your surroundings and certain things that are going on. Rondi said, don't you think he was probably doing this for a very long time? I believe so. I mean, think about it. That one lady said, his girlfriend said that she didn't think she was the only one. And he had a wife and kids. So, obviously, he was living a very double life and intertwined a lot of innocent people in the process who didn't even know that this was going on. That's the sad part about it. It's the people that didn't even realize that this was going on, or that he could have been capable of doing any of this stuff. Like, people that have the propensity to commit crimes, a lot of them do live a double life. A lot of them do have one side they show people, and then the other side is their criminal side, their side where they commit their crimes, they commit all the things that they do hoping not to be caught, if that makes any sense. And it's sad that innocent people get caught in the crosshairs of such dangerous people. You know, we just went through Alabama. It didn't seem like, I don't know, it creeps you out a little bit knowing that, anybody could have you could be exposed to any kind of high risk people that are out for bad. Yeah, you're right. BTK, perfect example. And I will be doing a live on Mr. BTK tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow the 9th. Yeah, we'll be doing a live on BTK tomorrow night. I think around 9 o'clock. So if you're in the neighborhood, why don't you stop by and hang out with old 12 gauge? I hate to use that word old. But it's interesting to me, all these concepts of how different some murders are, some abductions, but at the end, the pattern is the same. That's why whenever people talk about other crimes and they're so quick to dismiss certain things, you have to ask yourself, well, the pattern's there. The pattern is there. You cannot just break down what you want to hear or what you want to see in a crime. You're not doing the victims a bit of good. If that makes any sense. Because, if you're really doing it for the victims to get justice or to get them a sense of understanding, the families of understanding what happened, you're not doing them a bit of good, by siding with one person who committed the crime. I've never seen, of all the times that I've heard of serial killers and murderers and all this stuff, so many groupies to point to innocence. I've never seen so many groupies. And maybe that's why I'm losing subs, because it sounds like in a particular case I'm trying to say that the individual is guilty, but I'm not. I'm not even saying that individual is innocent. But I've never seen so many groupies grouping together for an individual that's behind bars to be innocent. It's kind of like this guy. Can you imagine the internet going crazy and saying he was innocent? Because he didn't even go to trial. The internet could have got together and said he's innocent. After all the stuff they found is what a trucker needs on the road. Case closed. Are you shitting me? Excuse my language, but are you really kidding me? It's interesting to me that you would allow your mind to set somebody who harmed people free versus the individual they hurt. You're kind of spitting on their memory by letting this individual free in your mind. If that makes any sense whatsoever. Because Gabby Petito, that case, I didn't follow that case a lot. I followed the very end of it. But I don't know, were people saying that laundry dude was innocent? Were they saying he was innocent, or were people saying that he was guilty? I don't remember because I wasn't following that case. But if they were saying he was guilty, what were the scenarios behind his guilt? And what was the evidence that they were using? Because he beat her up like right before she went missing? Is that what they were using? I thought that I had heard that the police were called because there was a domestic violence situation, and they let him go, and then she went missing. Well, yeah, I can see that, Latina. I can see that. But if you're gonna say that, it's a given that it's a given in law that people are innocent until proven guilty. You know, but what's interesting to me is the people that claim that individuals are innocent. They never have any evidence to back it up. And right now, we have a lot of evidence supposedly to back up that case we're talking about, why it shouldn't be this individual. And I'm glad that, that I just watched some of those, that I'm not really a part of them. Y'all help me out. Was the internet saying that, I think his name was Brian Laundrie, that he was guilty, or were they saying he was innocent? Because I didn't watch that case, so I can't really say one way or the other. I remember the OJ case. Well, you have a good night, Carl. Thank you for hopping on in here. Thank you so much. Okay, the internet was saying he was guilty. What were they using, or what were they pushing to show that he was guilty? Because I don't remember. I didn't follow that case. So whenever they found her, I remember automatically they were saying that the family was trying to hide him out, and this, that, and the other. And they had a secret contraption in the backyard where the mom was feeding him or whatever. Yeah, yeah, there was a lot of people were convinced that the parents were hiding him. Yeah, that the parents had something to do with that. I try to see that side. I really do. I'm not one dimensional. As far as my thinking's concerned, I'm an individual that has to see all sides in order to make my mind up. So I can't just see one portion and say, okay, you're right. Let's just roll with that. I'm one of those people that have to see all sides of the equation. Latina said they followed the van videos they were making, showing to others she was involved on online chats, blood on the gate, his cap, and a few other things. He came home from Wyoming without her and no explanation for where she was. So, was that the one where he was out walking and somebody picked him up and gave him a ride, but he was just out there all by himself and he had no explanation really what he was doing out there? Is that case? Because I get a lot of them confused because they're, like I said, the MOs, the patterns, they're kind of the same in all of them. They learn from each other. That's how, they've gotten this advanced so long, is they've learned from other people's mistakes. And that's what criminal minded people do, is they try to learn from other criminals how not to do what they did in order to get caught. So yeah, that little van belonged to her, that white one, right? And he had covered it up, like at the end of the road with some, it was at the end of the road, and he was down there or whatever. On road reported he was hitting her in the van, and they got put over. Okay, yeah, I kind of remember that. But as far as getting it too deep into it, I don't remember a lot of it. I just know that they found him with a gunshot wound, right? He killed himself. Okay. Maybe that's when he took off walking, and that's whenever those people picked him up. Because I remember watching a video on that. where these two people were talking about picking him up and giving him a ride. But I wasn't certain if that was that case. Isn't it interesting, though, that when it comes to killers, many times they just snap as they want the media wants you to think they just snapped. They just snapped. But if you look back on their history, they usually start small. And it's an escalation. You know, you usually don't wait until later on in life to do your first kill. Yeah, you might be right, Southwest Firefly. You might be right. Yeah, it was a big one. There was a lot of people talking about it. I didn't have a channel at that time. I didn't have any kind of interest in quote unquote true crime until the Idaho 4 case. I mean, I think it was the Summer Wells case, and then all of a sudden Idaho took over Summer Wells. And then you didn't hear any more about Summer Wells. And they still haven't found her, I don't think, have they? But nobody talks about Summer Wells anymore. I watched a little bit about that. I watched a little bit about how that little girl went missing. But nobody talks about that. The Kylie Rodney case, it's like they found her car submerged. They found her. And that was the end of the story. It was good enough for everybody else to just quit talking about it. You know, cut and dry. You might see a video here and there, but you don't hear a lot of people talking about these cases. You know, and it makes you wonder. And it makes you wonder why people just give up so easily on these cases. Because is it that you can't sensationalize them anymore? 3 years missing. So how come people aren't talking about Summer? So how old was she? She was like, what, 4 years old, maybe 5? So she'd be 8 years old right now? Yeah, Kylie's case was interesting. I mean, I reviewed a lot of that information, and I even watched the divers that found her car and what they were saying about it. She was 5, so she'd be 8 years old right now if she's alive. So what's so interesting about that case to me is the mom and one of the relatives got home. She supposedly went in to play with the kids. The kids were downstairs in a basement or something, or in the attic, if I can remember correctly. And then she supposedly went out the back door and has never been seen since. Is that true? Is that kind of paraphrasing what happened? Yeah. Yeah, she was about to start kindergarten. So what do y'all believe happened to her? I mean, if you followed that case, what do you believe happened to her based on the evidence that they have? Because that's all I really followed that deep. I know that yeah, she went downstairs to play. So do you think something happened to her and the mother got rid of her? Or, I mean, were they blaming the parents? I know, was it another Sebastian Rogers type thing? Um, because I know there was kids in the house. Mom was outside. Dad was at work. So once again, mom was in control of watching the child. Dad was at work. And then she couldn't find her again after that. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. But it was quick, right? It was quick, kind of like Sebastian. It was a quick thing. Where is she from? Is she from Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, any area over here in the South? Yeah. I mean, that'd be interesting to kind of dig a little bit on that case. Like I said, I started watching a lot of it, but it seems like they were turning on dad or blaming him. Tennessee. Man, there's something going on in Tennessee, bro, for reals. I mean, I'm not calling you bro. That's just a word that I use a lot. But, there's something going on in Tennessee. There's a lot of kids go missing in Tennessee. But if I recall correctly, they were kind of blaming dad a little bit. Did dad had something to do with it? Like I said, I covered it a little bit. I didn't do lives on it, but I was watching it. I was watching a little bit of it. And I think it was kind of like the Sebastian Rogers fiasco. They were turning on the parents. Yeah, they were turning on the parents, even though they possibly didn't have anything to do with it. Once YouTube has their mind made up, though, you can't change their mind for nothing. You could show facts, you could show examples. Isn't it sad that if you've ever had any kind of issues whatsoever, humanity turned on you and treats you like a leper, or they act like they don't have family members or themselves have had any issues in life whatsoever? It's very hypocritical, if you ask me. It's like anybody that has drug issues or past, present, it's like society just turned on you and instantly you're a killer if your kid goes missing, or you're a piece of crap if something happened to your child. I understand if you're under the influence when it happens. I understand why they would say that, but if you're trying to get clean, what would make you a killer? There's apparently a video of Summer dancing in front of a barrel with "for sale" on it. People saying she was sold. Wow. I might have to dig back into that case. I mean, because I haven't heard anything else other than when I was watching the stuff, people were talking about it left and right, and then it just went away. It is very hurtful on top of an already issue you yourself know one has nothing left to do but clam up. Nobody should point the blame at parents until the cops suspect them. Stranger abductions do happen. Yeah, that's true. It's just interesting to me that so many times that's the first thing that happens. It's like it was this person or that person. Exactly, Rondi. Exactly. Like earlier when I was talking about facts, when I was talking about the investigative process, none of that happened on YouTube happened in an investigation in real life. YouTube is fantasy. YouTube is talking about all kinds of fantasy stuff, not real life stuff. You know? It's just weird to me how something can be so hot one day and then all of a sudden something bigger comes along and people just stop. It's like, okay, new sitcom on, let me go watch this. It's just terrible. No judgment there, but it's the truth. How can we Have y'all had any idea on how to track track a child that goes missing, like, or to keep a child from going missing, especially in a high risk area? Somebody said something the other day in the chat that was interesting to me. They said you could put an Apple tab in the sock of the individual, you know, and that would be able to track the kid. So no new info in forever. Yeah, you wouldn't want to add something to someone's grief. You're right. In any of these cases, regardless on how the families appear to be dealing with it, how could you ever take a side? It's like, if you don't take a side in any of these true crime cases, then your opinion doesn't matter in these chats or whatever. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's why I say everybody's thoughts and beliefs are valid, and as long as y'all get along in my chat, I don't care what you believe or what you think. We're gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna shut anybody down just because they believe different than I do, or vice versa. But to sit there and argue and fight on something, it just doesn't make sense to me. To pick a side, to say, okay, it must have been the parents. They're the worst parents on paper, It had to be them. I've even heard people start to talk like their words are factual now. It's no longer, in my opinion, or allegedly. Hell no, they're saying this is what I know and this is what happened. I'm like, bro, do you not understand the implication of what you're just saying right there? You're talking as if you know what's going on in an active investigation that hasn't even gone to trial yet. Which you could be a part of that process because you're spreading stuff on YouTube. There's so many people out here that these crimes are just astronomical. So, Rondi, type again what case you want me to look up because it's so far up in the chat. I might not be able to find it. Can you type that case that you want me to look into? And I'll definitely do it tomorrow. I'm going to talk about BTK tomorrow night. And I'm going to, there's a video that I'm going to show that somebody else has done, but it highlights everything in perfect sequence. My belief on all this true crime stuff is that people don't want it to end because then they'll have nothing to talk about. It's kind of like if you find a solution to a problem, then what are you going to talk about? What's the next big thing that we can talk about? If you find the answer to this, what can we possibly talk about tomorrow if there's a solution? Have you ever had friends like that they're always full of drama, they're always having problems, and when you give them a solution, they never follow it? Or if they do, they follow it half-assed. Thank you, Rondi. And if they do change, then all of a sudden you don't have anything to talk about because that person is full of drama and that's all they were in your life is drama? Yes, there is. I saw one last night on and I couldn't find it today. It was on the news. It was about a girl that got stabbed by her mother or something like that. And I was looking for it today and I could not find it. And I could not remember where I saw it. Exactly, Latina, exactly. Because, some of these cases have not been dove into with an objective eye. They haven't been looked into as far as evidence because it's been so one sided. It's the parents or it's the police that are corrupting it or this or that and the other. Because it doesn't matter what you show or what you bring out or what you can prove. People just will not quit defending what they believe, and you can't change a person. Like I said a while ago, you can't change them. Even if you show them you're wrong and I'm right, and black and white, they're still going to fight you and argue with you. Well, no, that was written so long ago, that can't be factual. Well, thank you, Truth. Stranger Stories is another good one. I understand where you guys come from a lot of times where you're trying to gain understanding in the chat, and it's hard for your word to come across as like you're sitting across from somebody talking to them face to face. You're typing stuff out, and a lot of times I misread what people type. I have to read it again, or I have to stop and actually ask myself, what are they trying to mean here? So I can understand why in chat sometimes people they kind of go left a little bit because they don't understand that you're merely just pointing out a fact when they're being fueled by emotion, you know? Well, that one that I did at 5 o'clock or 5:30 today discusses a lot of that, Rondi. If you want to go back and watch that one, it's almost an hour long, and it talked about. I will check that out. Um, that's why I say what I say, and I don't say it to be rude or I don't say it to be mean or anything. I mean, I appreciate anybody that comes into the chat to respectful, but don't come into the chat trying to change my mind because you heard it from somebody else's channel. Because what makes them the expert? You get what I'm saying? And you can say the same about me. What makes me the expert? Well, whatever you believe. I'm not an expert in criminology. I can tell you that. I don't have my degree yet, but if God willing, June 2025, I'll be walking across that stage and getting that bad boy. And then it's on. But you talk about substance abuse and thinking and, counseling therapy stuff. I'll beg to differ with you on that one. You won't tell me that I'm out of line or I don't know what I'm talking about because I've been doing that for 20 something years. And I've been working with criminals. So, you sit across from a criminal for a long period of time, whether they're early in their addiction or late in their addiction or whatever, and you're discussing criminal acts. You learn a lot about the criminal side, plus the trainings you go to, the certificates you must keep up every 2 years. I mean, I have a license. I don't have, it's something that is It's continually, good God, my mouth doesn't want to work. You continue to to learn about your craft. Maybe it's too cold in here. My mouth doesn't want to work. You know, I just find it funny that sometimes people are so one dimensional that they don't give people credence just because they hear all day long from other people and their opinions, Because when you ask these people for their, as YouTubers say, receipts, they don't have it. Or they start backtracking, or they start stumbling their words around. Or I had it here somewhere, now I can't find it. So basically, you're just BSing me. You don't have anything to back this up with. Have you ever done this type of work before? Have you been to school for it? Or did you learn it by watching a YouTube video like, most of the world does when they have a problem now? Did you learn it on Google? How'd you learn it? Because I can tell you everything is subjective to your belief on what you're seeing. That means that if you believe that this is true, nobody can argue against you because you don't want to change your mind on it until you get to that point to understand that you're wrong. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I'm not throwing shade on anybody, so if you want this on replay and you're a creator, I'm not throwing shade on you. If you're not a creator and you're just in chats and whatever, I'm not throwing shade on you either. I just don't understand how you could believe something so much but not have the research to back it up or the evidence to back it up. I could say that the moon is really not white, it's gray. Because I heard a presentation one time where they were talking about the moon being gray. That doesn't make it factual. That's hearsay. A mouth can say anything. And that's all I got to say about that. If you watch this on replay or if you've been watching, please hit the like button, hit the dislike button, or leave me a comment. I showed off my merchandise that I received earlier, which was a bucket hat. And yeah, I agree too. And I have merchandise under here. I understand it's a little expensive for people. But how about a membership? Become a member. I plan on doing members only live streams if I can ever get, members. I have probably 4, I think. But I never see them in here very often. So I don't know how I'm going to do the members only live streams. But yeah. Thank you so much for continuing to come back and grace me and my channel with your lovely chat, information, and brilliance. Because I believe that a lot of people in these chats are brilliant. They have a lot of greatness, and it's too bad that they get overshadowed by the people that have no clue on what they say or have any insight on the value of what their words are doing to the reality of real life. Well, when's your birthday, Rondi? Just put the month. You don't have to put the day or the year. When's your birthday? Or just put the month and the day. Oh, that sucks. But you guys, I'm not on here begging for money. I'm really not. I guess YouTube wants me to advertise all this crap for whatever reason. I'm thinking about really taking the monetization off. It's just a pain in the ass. February 9th. Okay. Got that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I kind of figured you were, Truth. Kind of figured you were. March 9th. You're an Aquarius. Just like Aquarius. Mine's September 10th. I'm a Virgo. Could y'all tell? There we go. Another Virgo. September 15th. Yeah, mine's September 10th. About to have another birthday. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My good friends of a Leo. I've never crossed them, so I haven't had to experience that, thank God. But I've known some other Leos some Leo women that really won't let you forget what you did wrong. I knew this one. She was always not letting me live down where I was messing up at. She would always bring it up. Yes, Virgo. My best friend's an Aquarius. We get along pretty good. He does have that up and down mentality, though. Something bad happens, boy, at the end of the world. He wants to just blow it up and move on. But anyways, right now I'm just kind of rambling on. I'm almost at 2 hours. I guess I'm trying to get to the 2 hour mark. I got 8 minutes to do it. There are lovers and not fighters. Who? Virgos or Leos? I pretty much go with what mine says. I mean, I'm not into the astrological stuff a lot, but mine's pretty right on key as far as, describing what I am. Leos are both. They're very loud, like the lion, You get them to start roaring, it's over with. Hey, Truth, I wanted to ask you is, what that other lady that used to mod with you, what's her name? I can't think of her name. The one that had the health problems, is she doing okay? I can't think of her name. The one that used to mod with you on that other channel. She had health problems as well. Yeah. Yeah, Stacy. I haven't seen her in any chats or anything in a long time. Yeah, J Lord. I haven't seen. That's a cool name. That is a cool name, J Lord. Yeah, I haven't seen her in any chats or anything in a long time. I haven't heard from I haven't seen either one of them. Yeah, yeah. She had that heart problem. I think. That they had said, and she got better and she came back. Hope she's doing all right. YouTube is stressful for some people, especially creators that are that are stressed out about YouTube like a job. It's not really that important. It's really not. You see people on here aging quick, boy. That stress is a mother. You got to take care of yourself. You can't let this become your reality. It's only a part. It's a hobby. It's a hobby for me. I talk a lot, so what better way to talk to people than to get on here for hours and hours and hours and hours? Yeah, exactly. That's where all the stress comes from. Lying, manipulating. Crazy. Exactly. Well, you guys, I'm about to call it a night. Y'all have a good night. Thank you again for being in here. And yeah, I got away for a little bit. YouTube made me get off here. And, then I went on vacation. It was just the perfect timing. It helped me get refocused. To think about exactly where I started my channel being like and where it went a different direction and how ugly I was not liking myself being due to certain things, certain people. As you can tell, my chats have gotten small again. And that's a good thing. I mean, they started small. You know what that means to me? It means that the people that are in here want to be in here. They're not in here for malicious things. And if they are, they're found out quickly because you can't hide amongst 5 people. Everybody's seen. You know what I mean? So, I'm happy the way things are going. Oh, I don't. I really don't. I roll one deep. One deep. Let me try this again. I'm going to get out of here, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night or morning or evening, wherever you're at. If you're catching this on replay, hit the like button for me or hit the dislike, whichever one it is. I'm going to play this song again. I really liked it. It's called Live a Lie by Rival. And it's on the YouTube free tracks or whatever. So instead of playing my outro, I'm going to play this song and then let me know what you think in the chat, all right? So Maestro, cue that music, and I'll see y'all soon.
Burning only dark remains. I cover up every part of my skin, oh, 'cause I don't like the person within, oh. I know I'm the one to blame. All I can do is pay the shame, oh. Do we say goodbye? Refuse to question why. I'm too sad to say I'm sorry, so lie and pretend that you're okay. Swear that you will stay. Keep trying for one day. Whoa, I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. There's nothing left for me to hide. Don't wanna live a lie. Too many lows, too many I'm sick of all these lies. Don't care if I capsize. Oh no. Took a swing at a wrecking ball and I prayed for my downfall, and I found a way to reconcile, 'cause in my heart it's not worthwhile. It's a bloody battlefield where some go down, others heal. In the end it's all the same. All you can